Hey everyone, welcome back to Dan91's garage. Exciting news, finally got all the parts in to make the turbo exhaust manifold for the Starlet build. So without further ado, I'll put you up on the tripod and I'll see you in a sec. So the problem is, as soon as a decent TD04 manifold comes up for sale second hand, it's snapped up in seconds for quite high money usually. You could almost buy a brand new one that comes with a full warranty really, but it is what it is. So the other option is obviously the cheap ones, and they don't even fit the car normally. They are always warped flanges, holes in the wrong place, and after a few weeks of use, if you're lucky, they've already developed some sort of crack. So I've decided to make my own turbo log manifold. So I couldn't find a head flange design that I liked. There was only one for sale. The material was a bit thinner than I wanted, and also the ports were too large, so I decided to make my own. So I started off with a Toyota exhaust gasket. This obviously gives you the geometry of what you need to work with for the flange. So you've got your mounting holes and your exhaust ports as well. So I added extra material where I needed it and used a more appropriate port size as well. So I drew it up in LibreCAD, which is a free 2D CAD package, and that's more than capable of this sort of level of flange work. So I sent that off to my mate who laser cut it for me. So it's a 10mm thick mild steel plate. Mild steel is apparently less prone to warping when you weld it, so that'll be a good thing. This is obviously HR4 material, but it has a pickled and oiled finish rather than the usual black mill scale, so there's no scale to clean off before you weld it. I will give it a quick clean up before I start though, just to get rid of any flash corrosion that may develop on it. So obviously for the other end we're going to need a flange to hold the turbo. So obviously I bought this, which is a TD04 turbo inlet flange, and there you can see the difference between the materials. Hopefully this has got the black mill scale on it, so that's the crap you've got to clean off, because otherwise it contaminates your weld. But it's already been tapped, but unfortunately one of these holes is on the piss, so it's actually a bit difficult to insert into the turbo. And also the inlet flange here doesn't match the gasket, and now we've obviously gasket matched the turbo, which you may or may not have seen in a previous video, so hopefully you have seen it. If not, go back and watch it at your leisure. But it seems a bit of a waste that once you've done all that hard work to make all the ports line up, you then use this, which is in a different place. So I'm actually quite glad I didn't use this to port match it, and actually used the gasket to port match the turbo, otherwise it would have been wrong. So this one was not good enough for me, so that's going to end up being part of a heat sink for when I'm welding, I guess. So I drew my own one up. Again, the only difference really is that this hole's now in the correct place, so it lines up with the rest of the ports. So that's that. Had these lasered out to the tapping size for a 10 by 1.25, which are the studs that the normal Subaru Imprezas use. So that's that one. Again, HRPO finish, 10mm thick. So then we're going to need a turbo outlet flange. This one I bought again, and it's pretty close. Again, still got the mill scale finish. It is set up for like a divorced exhaust pipe setup, so I'm not sure if I'm going to use it with the divorce plumbed in, or whether I'm going to weld this up and just use it as a single outlet. Not entirely sure at the moment, but again, line this up with the turbo. These top three holes line up. These bottom two are offset by a mill. Thankfully they're oversized enough that I can get bolts through them and tighten it up, and the rest of the holes seem to line up, so I am going to go with this. Going to stick with the off-the-shelf one this time. And obviously the last piece for the downpipe is going to be the bottom flange. So it's a 2 1/4 inside diameter, 3-bolt flange. I believe this is 8mm thick mild, which is enough because it's not actually sort of part of the turbo-y sort of side of things. It's more part of the exhaust side of things, and that's actually pretty thick for an exhaust flange. So that's pretty cool. Again, mill scale, bought that one off eBay, and that one's actually really good. The company I got this one from, I bought a few more bits of pipe and stuff from, so we'll go through that in a bit. But yeah, that's obviously the other end of the downpipe. But moving on from that, we're obviously going to need some pipes. So in here's a piece of straight pipe. You don't really need to see that. And then we come on to the steam pipe fittings for the log manifold. Snake! No, there's not a snake in there, don't worry. So if we just start popping these out, we've obviously got an equal T, and we're going to need 2 of them. Then we've got some long radius bends. These are obviously going to make up our second set of runners. We've also got some short radius bends in here somewhere. Yep, there you go. And obviously you can see the difference between a long radius and a short radius. Thing's possessed or something, that's fine. So obviously that's a long radius bend and that's a short radius bend, so obviously it's a tighter curve. And they're obviously seamless tube as well. So anyway, obviously the difference between the short radius and the long radius is the centre line radius of it, which is obviously the path that the bore follows. So obviously that's a shorter or tighter radius than this one. The good thing about that is obviously it takes up less room and it's closer to the other pipe. So I'm not too sure which ones I'm going to use yet, but either way those are the 2 different versions. So I think the first stage of this is to get these 2 T-pieces attached to the flange. So put all this stuff out of the way for a minute. So obviously, as we can see here, these ports here are slightly closer in than these 2 ports here. So we're obviously going to have to take some material off of here equally to get these 2 set on here. Then at least we'll know whether we can do a top mount or a bottom mount, or whether we might even do a front mount coming straight off the front with the turbo. Don't know yet. But once we've got these pieces on, we can then at least offer it up to the engine and then see where we've got room for the turbo. Because not only have we got to get obviously the air filter on the front of it, we've also got to get the exhaust pipe off the back. My car has power steering, so there's a pump there. There's also the oil filter underneath. And then also we've obviously got the half radiator and all those pipes for the exhaust. So not sure exactly where it's going to go yet, but that will become more apparent when we start offering things up to the car. So these are schedule 40 1¼ inch equal T's, and obviously the 1¼ equates to the nominal bore, which is the minimum bore size you can expect. It's 32mm ish minimum, and these ones measure up at about 34 or 35 depending on which end of the T it is. Wall thickness is anywhere from 4.5 to 3.5 on these. So the carbon steel, didn't fancy stainless steel because I can't TIG weld, so going to stick with this for the MIG welding. So we know the pitch of these holes is 90mm because I've already drawn it up for CAD, and we check the length of these fittings, they're about 96 to 97, so double check they're both the same because these aren't the most accurately made parts. Again, they're for sort of pipeline stuff, so they're not exactly precision engineered, but here we are, 96.6. So 90mm minus 6.6 gives us 3.3mm to take off of each one. So 3mm is obviously too small to cut off with a blade. You just end up bending the blade and skipping off all the time. So I think we're off to the linisher for 10 minutes to sand these a bit shorter. But that's pretty much the first one there. It's pretty square at the top. This thing's a godsend, really is. So that's the first one down. I'm not going to show you doing the second one because it's basically the same thing. Okay, so that's those 2 sanded up square. I've put them butted up together in the vise. That's why they call them butt weld fittings as well, because you butt the 2 together and then weld them. So I've had a quick measure up. So if you go for the insides, got about 54mm. And each one of these, I don't know if you can see that, 35.2-ish. I have measured this up off camera. So that basically brings us out to our 89.3-ish. So I'm about 0.7 mil short, but I'll take that for sanding these sorts of fittings. So if we just chuck the flange on it quickly. So now we've got that lined up. Like I say, split the difference. There's 0.35 of a mil there, which is nothing I'm going to worry about. And the good thing is, the head's obviously 30 mil port, then the gasket is 32, these are 34, and the insides of those are just about 35. So at no point is there any sort of step getting smaller, it always needs to be bigger. So 30, 32, 34, then 35. So I'm over the moon with that, that's real good. I've obviously got to put the bevel back on these. Obviously you can see these have a bevel on them, or a chamfer. And that's obviously to help with the penetration when you're welding. So I do need to put those back on, but I'll leave them alone for now. The other thing I'll show you, obviously with the short radius bends, you can see how much less material you're going to need to take off. Obviously you're going to have to add a section of straight pipe in here, so that's an extra weld. When you look through the top here at the port, there's only perhaps 10 or 12 mil to take off, and obviously we'll take all of that off of the T-piece itself, and you end up with a tighter radius here. But obviously this suits ports that are tighter together, whereas if we look at the long radius bend, stick that in there, you can see we've got a heck of a lot more to cut off of both. So there's no way we can take all of this off of the T-piece, because there'll be nothing left of it. So we're going to have to chop off wherever that is equally, half off of half. So I'll work out what that is, take half off of this, and then that'll leave us with half off of that as well. We quickly measure that up. It's about 70 odd mil to the outside, but we need to find it to the centre line. So the diameter is 42, we need to halve that to take it to 21. So 70 minus the 21 gives us 49. And the pitch of these two holes is 70 mil. So that's 70 mil across between these two. So we know that this is 96, so half of that gives us 48. So 48, and this one is 49, so we'll call that 48 as well, just for the fun of it. So we then need to divide 70 equally, which gives us 35. So 48 minus 35 gives us 13 mil. So it looks like we've got to chop 13 mil off of this and 13 mil off of that. So what I'll do is I'll start by chopping 13 mil off of this and seeing what we end up with, because obviously the more we cut off of this, the shorter it gets. And obviously because we're going to be cutting sort of parallel to the existing end, we're actually going to end up with an oval shaped bore, but we'll see what that turns out like. So that's the first one shortened up. All the material taken off, checked it with a square and it's nice and square. But as you can see, that's the effect it has. You can see it's clearly an oval shape now, taller here than it is width-wise. So it's not the end of the world, so I think I'm going to carry on with this fruit for now. So I've got another one to chop up, then I've got to chop up the T's. But the thing is, once I've cut the T's, there's no going back. So a bit more progress. Got my two equal T's in the vise. They're the correct width. I've eyeballed them here so they're concentric as they can be with these ports. G-clamped on my plate. And if we add this, we can see in there she's pretty good. It's absolutely sort of flush on the inner edge, but on this other edge back here, it's about 1.5 mil too far left. So that basically means this is the edge I'm working on at the moment on the T-piece. I need to take 3/4 mil off of this. Then this will line up here. I mean, I've measured everything up, and like you say, as you're sanding it, you end up making adjustments as you go, kind of thing, because one of them's a bit shorter, one of them's a bit longer. So doing pretty good considering I've got grinders, chop saws and sanders. So yeah, 3/4 mil off of this, then we're ready to start the other side. And that's what we've got to today. It all fits together quite nicely. If I was doing it again, obviously we had to take 26 mil out of this joint. So instead of taking 13 off of each, I probably would just take 10 off of the radius bend and 16 off of this T-piece. That way there'd be less of a drop, because we wouldn't be quite so far down the radius with the cut. So it would line up a little bit nicer and easier for welding. What I can do is jack this up with a piece of shim maybe. Then that'll put the centre bore of this a bit more concentric with the T-piece. Then all I've got to do is sand off the equal amount from the inner T-pieces. Then it'll be level again, ready for welding onto the plate. Made myself a heat sink so we can bolt this down. That way there's no chance of it warping heavily. There's always going to be a little bit of something goes on with it because it's going to want to shift, but certainly going to take the majority of the trouble away. So there we go. Being as it's the first log manifold I've attempted, quite happy with the way it's come out so far. Not too complicated, and even though I've got some reasonably complex tools here to start fabricating this stuff, there's nothing you can't do with an angle grinder and a cutting disc and some flap wheels basically. So there we are. Well, I think we'll leave it there for this week, guys. Thanks for watching as always. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next week.